I'm Erica Mastrogiacomo, the head soccer coach here at Simmons College, and I'd like to share my story with you about my coming out experience and to let you know that I'm a survivor of being bullied. So in 2000, I was a freshman in college and a member of the soccer team, and I got a phone call from my coach asking me to come in for a meeting. And of course, my guilty conscience, I was thinking, oh my gosh, what did I do? What does she know that I did? So I went into the meeting, and she was sitting there with our assistant coach and our athletic trainer, and I see a box of tissues, and I'm thinking, oh no, what happened? Is somebody hurt? And she went on to ask me if I knew anything about a video that had been circulating involving me, and I had no idea what she was talking about, so I got nervous, and she then went on to tell me that apparently my roommate, who was a field hockey player, and one of her friends from across the hall, who I also considered a friend, another member of the field hockey team, they weren't sure, but they thought that I might be gay, and so they wanted to find out. And so they took it upon themselves to, while I was not there, they cut a hole in a tissue box and used the old school webcam and hid the camera in my room and trying to see if I was gay and to catch me with my girlfriend and pretty much to just find out for themselves if I was gay. So I had no idea that that went on, and that happened in the fall of my freshman year. And my coach is now telling me this, and it's after, holiday break. So my coach immediately tells me I'm going to move out of my room, and I'm going to have to go live up in graduate student housing, which was so far away from everybody, all of my friends, if you could call them that. And I just remember crying, thinking, oh my gosh, what am I going to tell my parents? Because I was not out. And now I was being forced to come out, and I just remember feeling so alone and isolated and angry, and just thinking, what am I gonna do? How can I stay here? Who can I trust? I have no friends now, and it was just a really lonely feeling, and really sad and angry, and I felt betrayed. And I felt like they had forced me to come out. So I called my parents and, of course, try to leave out as many details as possible, still not really knowing what was ever on the video. My parents just kind of asked if they wanted, if they should come up and get me and bring me home, and I said no, because I wasn't ready to face them. And so I just stayed there, and I stayed isolated. I didn't really talk to anybody. My girlfriend, also went through the same issue, and she, developed an eating disorder, and I found her one day in her room with an empty bottle of pills, and, I saw notes on her desk, one to me, one to her mom, and one to her dad. And so I just remember dragging her to the bathroom and just trying to force her to throw up. Because I figured that she had probably, taken the pills because she didn't want to be there anymore. And she survived, and she was okay, and she ended up transferring and got the help that she needed. But I'm glad that she was able to stick around, because she went on, and even though she transferred, she went on. She graduated from college. She had, her family loves her, and she feels a lot of support today from them. So for 8 years, I pretty much, lived my life kind of going, I went back in the closet. I never really came out. When I was at school, I was out because I had to be, because who knows how many people saw that video. But when I was home, with my family, I wasn't out. I would have boyfriends to kind of mask that I was gay, and my mom and dad never brought it up again until 2008. I decided to tell my family, because I had met someone that was really, really important to me, and I wanted them to be able to share in that. with me because she was such a big part of my life. And so I told my brother first, and he said, I know, because that's typical of my brother. And when I told my parents, my mom cried and was a little angry, and she, said the typical, how did this happen? And my dad looked at her and told her to be quiet, and that it didn't matter, and that they both loved me. But it was tough with my mom for a while, because I think she just figured that meant that I couldn't get married, that I couldn't have a family, and that I couldn't live a typical life that she had expected for me. Then in September of 2010, so 10 years later after my freshman year experience, I'm in my apartment in Boston, and I'm watching the news, and I see the story on the news about the freshman, Tyler Clemente from Rutgers University. And if you're not familiar with the story, he jumped off the George Washington Bridge because his roommate and one of their classmates hid a video camera and streamed live video of him and his boyfriend at the time on YouTube, on the computer, on video chat. And he couldn't handle it, and he jumped off the bridge, and I just remember dropping my cup of coffee and thinking, how is this still happening 10 years later? And why haven't things gotten better? And then I realized, things do get better, and they will get better, but it's really important that everyone comes together and that we educate people around us, using our own experiences to remind them that, just because somebody's different than you, or you're not sure about who they are or what they stand for, it doesn't mean that they don't deserve to be respected. Everyone deserves to be respected. And my advice for anyone in the LGBT community that might be struggling with how they're feeling, or be thinking, I can't be here anymore, is to own your story and keep the power in your own hands, and use your story to educate others so that things like this can be prevented, and so there's no more Tyler Clemente incidences, and that if we can all come together and educate one another, that it will get better, and that's the only way that it will get better. Yeah, if I had chose not to stick around, I absolutely would have missed out on my college athletic career, and then big events in my family, my cousin's getting married, and I would have missed out on being able to today have a great job coaching the game that I love, and working for a school where I feel like I really fit in and share the same values. My advice would be to just remember that, to empower yourself and to have the confidence in yourself to be able to own your own story and not let anyone else determine your happiness. There's always going to be someone that disagrees with you. There's always going to be someone that shares a different opinion, and it doesn't mean that their opinion is right and that it defines you. You define you. And that there are resources. There's going to be someone out there. There's going to be at least someone that can relate to you, and that can give you advice. And just, if you haven't found that person, just keep looking, because that person is there.